Distinguished chairpersons, most distinguished my co-panelists, honorable judges from the various high courts, Supreme Court, NGT, friends, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good afternoon. My task today is to give you, first of all, my humble and sincere thanks to NGT, particularly Justice Prakash Srivastava and Mr. Senthil Bell for the kind invitation. Sir, it's indeed an honor for a doctor to be standing here before the legal luminaries of the country and presenting his evidence of how air pollution is actually hurting us. I'm indeed grateful to you, sir. My task, as given to me by Justice Srivastava, was to give you a takeaway regarding air pollution, how it's hurting us, and what needs to be done. I have divided my task into 3 parts. It will be very small. Yesterday, Professor Guleria gave evidence. I will just be showing the photo parts of it, which I see as a surgeon. I'm a chest surgeon, and last 30 years I've been operating about 600 to 800 and now 1000 cases, where I open the chest and I get to see the color of lungs. And ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you here to share with you the change in the color of human lungs that I have witnessed in the last 36 years of my career as a chest surgeon. With that evidence, I'll go to solutions, because Justice Srivastava said you must give some solutions. And lastly, I'll very briefly mention a case, a historic judicial a judgment, which is now making waves across the country, which could be useful for us also. What is the color of the lungs when we are born with? This is the color of the lungs that we are born with. Nice, pristine pink. But ladies and gentlemen, what is the color that I see every day in non-smokers? This is the color. This is not a photograph from Adobe Photoshop. It's the color of the lungs from non-smokers, which I see every day in my OR. And this is a picture taken from the telescope that I see every day. Even more frightening is the next picture. This is the color of the lungs of a teenager. See the kind of deposits this teenager has got. If the teenager has got this kind of deposits, what will happen to him by the time he becomes an adult? So this is the picture that we have. The color of a non-smoker, a teenager, and this is what we have. We are born with this. This is what is becoming to our lungs today. This is what we see anatomically. Now, how does this convert into clinical pictures? Or before that, showing it from this is what I see inside, but outside we did an experiment where we put up this lung model, put a exhaust fan behind it to mimic human breathing, and few days later, this is the color that it became. So this is what is happening outside, and we saw what is happening inside. And this is the kind of air that we all breathe. But it's not only the adults, it's also the children who are in their mother's womb who get affected. There is evidence now that a pregnant mother breathing toxic air, the toxins go into the blood and start affecting the fetus, causing congenital problems, growth retardation, and a whole lot of issues. And when the child is born, we don't get any artificial air. It's the same air outside which the newborn also breathes. So I dare say that in a polluted city, the newborns start smoking as far as the effect on the lungs and other body systems are concerned. We did a study of over 3,000 children in Delhi between the ages of 11 and 14. We went to the schools and studied their lung function test, only to be horrified to find that nearly 27%, which is 1 out of 3 children, had spirometry proved airflow obstruction and asthma in the city of Delhi. And this has been reported in a peer-reviewed journal recently. This is what I see. And this was the effect in children. And what's happening to adults? Very briefly, this slide shows my 36 years of experience as a lung cancer surgeon. On the left side, when I started, most of the patients were smokers. They were mostly men and in 50s and 60s, because smoking used to cause cancer in elderly smoker men. But what's happening now? 50% of the patients today are non-smokers. 40% of the patients are women who are non-smokers, and age has come down by about decade and a half. Why is this happening? Why is the effect of smoking going away? Because now it's the polluted air which is a leveler, and that's why smoker, non-smoker, men, women, young people, everybody is having lung cancer. But lungs are not the only organs affected. It enters from lung, but after that, it affects every organ in the body because the small particles go through the lung into the blood. Heart is affected, brain is affected. Now there is evidence that diabetes, obesity, all kinds of cancers. In fact, every month there is evidence coming that more and more diseases are being caused by air pollution. And who are the worst affected? The unborn babies, the children, and the elderly. And now there is evidence to suggest that it's causing irreversible damage to the various organs of these children. Ladies and gentlemen, we eat 3 to 4 times a day. We can live without food for up to 20 days. We drink 6 to 7 times. We can live without water for 5 to 6 days. But we breathe 25,000 times a day. And if air was not there, we cannot survive without it for even 1 to 2 minutes. And there lies the solution, that having artificial means, cans of air, etc., cannot be a solution. Unlike water pollution for this problem, air has got to be clean. If we have any impurity in water, we will not let our children drink it. It's astonishing that we are letting our children breathe this air 25,000 times a day. So I would say that air pollution is not an environmental issue. It's a serious health emergency. It's a silent pandemic, if I may say. It's an existential threat to our next generation. This was the medical evidence seen through my own eyes, not copied from elsewhere. What we need to do, if we look at these sources, we all know that dust, that is dhool, and smoke, that is dhua. Whatever may be the source, it is the dust and smoke which is the cause of air pollution, and there lies the solution also. We need to tackle the air pollution at the source, not let it be dirty and clean it later. We need to have reduction in emissions and dust. I'm not going beyond that, except most humbly urging that we need to have laws to ensure reduction in emissions and dust. Artificial things like smoke towers, air purifiers, these are not solutions for a public problem that air pollution is. And lastly, a very vital piece of intervention which came from England. This is the girl Ella, who died in 2013 in London at the age of 9 years due to asthma. And her death summary said that she died because of acute respiratory failure because of asthma. Her mother did not accept it. She went to the court and she said, I think it's because of air pollution. She fought the case for 5 years, and finally, in December of 2020, the Deputy Coroner Philip Barlow gave a landmark judgment where he said that she has died as a result of air pollution. And he also said that there is lack of legally binding air quality targets and training which is responsible. So finally, last slide, sir. Finally, her death, and this is important, it's the only case in the world where a death summary was revised on the orders of the Honorable Court. From acute asthma due to respiratory failure and asthma, it was revised as air pollution exposure. It was added. It's the only case in the world. So I would like to conclude that, honorable judges, I have placed medical evidence as seen by me for the last 25 years at your disposal. As a doctor, I plead before your lordships to act with urgency because it is needed for the health and welfare of our children and our future generations. I rest my case here. Thank you so much, your lordship. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.